Alrighty. So, Mr. Nicholas, Anthem has released
Uh,
after years and years of development. So, let's go ahead and just we're going to go through, talk about the microtransactions, that vanity store, in-game, how it differs between demo and full release and anything else. So, then we'll kind of go through, roadmap and that too as well, okay?
Sounds good, man.
All right. So, first of all, Anthem has been out for a little over 24 hours. Actually, yeah, a little over 24 hours. It has been released officially worldwide. EA and BioWare, they finally brought their new IP to market after a 5+ year development cycle. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's a great it's a really exciting time just because people, especially fans of kind of like the looter shooter genre, while they've had um Destiny to kind of tide them over, you know what I mean, for the last couple years, because Anthem was it 2017 it was first revealed at E3. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yes, that was yeah, it's been 2 years since the reveal.
Yeah, so the literature fans have been kind of waiting, to see what Anthem was really all about. 'Cause, besides trailers and stuff, and I mean, there's gameplay videos and stuff, but to finally get our hands on it and to see everything that it has to offer, I think, it's been a great time. I've had an awesome time with the game. It's just been fun. It's been a while since I've been able to play a game and just have a grand time playing it without certain things coming up. So I think it's been a good launch. Now, granted, we do have to touch on the launch, the right when it hit 9 yesterday, well, 9 my time.
Yeah.
But there's the server issues, which were completely expected. I mean, any game like this, we've talked about before, is there's countless people all hitting the login button at the same exact time, and it's just kind of expected, so you kind of just have to
Yeah.
be patient with it.
So,
But
for people who don't understand, who aren't IT familiar or frankly don't understand the back end, it's okay. I mean, not everyone knows everything. So the way it'll work in typically in these fashions is you have these data centers, and all these servers are stood up to house the game, and they're physical devices, so they're just there. But what happens is that there's only a certain amount of login servers available, and then after you hit that login server, you are then sent to more than likely a load balancer that will send you to an available server. Yesterday at 10 a.m., it was pretty much for the first hour, was, hey, which one are you going to get? Are you going to get in successfully? But a lot of people were getting the no servers available, no matchmaking server there, please retry. And they gave you a 10-second window before it would automatically try to reconnect. That 10-second window may seem stupid to people, but that is actually extremely helpful in terms of actually making something load correctly. So if you have a million people trying to log in at once, and 500,000 people get in the first try, and another 500,000 are there, what's going to happen is those servers that house the 500,000 people already are going to be given a 10-second stabilization window, which is a long time for computers, and then 500,000 people are going to try to reconnect. So everything's going to get hit. And so then it's just the queue is just going to dwindle smaller and smaller and smaller through this 10-second buffer that they instituted, which is a smart move. So it took us, I think, about 50 minutes or so to get in. I got in first, and you got in. It wasn't that bad. I enjoyed it. We were laughing at it because it's just you kept seeing the same thing over and over and over again. There were some people who got in the first try, but all in all, it's to be expected. When millions of people, hit a server at once, you're gonna have some issues. So I don't really see that as a problem or a way to say, well, this game had a horrible launch. No, the game had a
yeah,
good launch. It was smooth. There was no problems. There's no server crashes. There's no rubber banding. The rubber banding I've only experienced is in the launch bay. Um, that I can say I can expect that simply because it's something they threw on within like the last month of release, pretty much because people wanted it. So we can kind of go through a little bit more of that later.
Well, yeah, I just want to like talk on one thing. Like, if people are trying to say this was a bad launch, they haven't seen a bad launch. Like, I just one of the most recent examples I had was 2 years ago when Call of Duty World War II came out, and that's a game where like you've kind of explained to me, talking before, that a game like Call of Duty where like it's instant server based, not like a continuous live world, that it's not easy to launch, but it's a little easier than like what a game like Anthem does. And that game literally you couldn't play for like a day. Like the servers were just gone. And like so Anthem's launch, I'm perfectly fine with having issues logging in for about 40 minutes. If because once we got in, it ran perfectly. So I don't see how that's really a big negative.
Yeah, and I mean, while we were trying to log in, we obviously went to Twitch and saw a couple people, and their chats were like, "Oh my god, this launch is horrible. This is ridiculous." And they really were just jumping on the, well, this is a horrible launch bandwagon. And it's like, and they're like, predicted, called it. No, no, this is what happens in IT world. Nothing's ever going to go the way it should. And the key phrase in the IT world, we could, would, should. Those are the three words we use mostly. Why? Because nothing ever says it will do this. No, it should, it could, and it would do this. Should means it should work, but we're not saying it's not going to not work. We're saying that there could be issues that we haven't seen yet. There's no load bugs. I experienced an audio bug where the audio just cut out completely,
Mm-hmm.
and I only experienced that once. I never had it again. Not a big deal. People were saying, I did see people explaining, they hit the bug a couple times, but a restart of the game will fix that. It's not a big deal. You can finish your mission real quick and then go back in. If you do encounter the audio bug, and you're in a story mission, I would definitely go ahead and exit the game, and stop playing that story mission to kind of get yourself back into it. That way you don't miss any dialogue or anything if you don't have subtitles on. I run with subtitles just because, I record, so it'd be for the viewers, if we're talking, which we have been talking a lot, so we'll be talking about something random. You can't hear the cutscene, but you can read the subtitles to help you understand what's going on.
Yeah. So
I
kind
I
of
didn't experience really any of the bugs. There was no random death bugs. I think there were some particles that didn't load properly, so it looked like we got hit from nothing. But that's in like almost every game.
yeah, and I mean the issues I've been having, kind of, I think I'm mostly chalking up to the just like my own computer, like trying just to max optimize Anthem for it, in the sense of
Yeah.
just, like, you just helped me clear out a ton of space on my SSD. Like, it's just, I don't chalk it up to the game not working. You know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah, I haven't seen any major issues. So once we got in, we finally got in, those tutorial missions. Some of the best. I mean, in my own opinion, those tutorial missions were just fun as hell. Like, it was just like, for introducing a player to the game, even if they didn't like play the demos, like, it was just a fun time. Even though, I mean, granted, the first one wasn't super long, but like, it did, in the short amount of time it really did a good job of kind of establishing the universe and letting the player kind of find their footing.
Agreed. And the story, it kind of brought in the narrative of, well, here's the anthem of creation. Here's a cataclysm. This is what's happening at a
Yeah,
cataclysm. Now,
and it's
this
crazy.
gives you the sense of, holy crap, this is what's going to happen when the cataclysms are brought in by BioWare. Okay, and for people who didn't notice, the Titans in the tutorial are bigger than any Titans that have been fought against up until this point. Now, if BioWare is going to allow us to fight something that big in the real world without having to do some sort of special instance load, that's up for debate, but it ran smooth. There was no crashing or anything. So I honestly believe that, the way they did it was well done. It brought in the sense of the anthem of creation. You should not try to tame it. You shouldn't try to control these relics. They are going to, if you try to control these relics, bad stuff will happen. And unfortunately it did. And, we found later in a cutscene that I actually got emotional from that cutscene. We can talk about that in a little bit, but that one cutscene provided context of how how that tutorial mission came about, that whole situation.
Yeah,
So I thought those
yeah,
tutorials are pretty good. The only
and it
thing,
was just
the tutorials are split up into two separate missions: the introduction and then the actual further tutorial. Gives you a brief sense of how some missions are going to go. Um,
yeah, and I mean, I think that was a good choice in the sense of how like the very first mission is kind of showing how like it was showing the time where like the freelancers were like everyone thought of them as heroes and stuff, but then with that event, the rage of really bad with names, but that big event that the kind of the game's
yeah,
kind
the
of
Heart of
centered around.
Rage.
Exactly. It shows how the freelancers failing to stop that. You do the time jump to the second tutorial mission. It shows how freelancers aren't really seen as heroes anymore, and they're kind of just, your guy has a dirty javelin, like he's just scraping by with random jobs. So like it does a good job of showing the progression of kind of beginning the redemption arc of the freelancers
I,
games.
I would agree. It is weird that for some unknown reason that the that the entire human populace is like, yeah, freelancers, you're the reason for that. Oh, they fought and died.
Yeah,
Like they all died there. Like like the main stronghold of the freelancers fell. Like the sentinels who were there and the freelancers, they all died. So but I mean, it's kind of like the traditional human thing. One of the things that humans like to do is blame. They just need something to blame and lash out
yeah,
at. And the freelancers became
exactly.
that target because whether or not within that 2 years, the Sentinels, kind of framed it that way, where the freelancers caused this mess or something. But we don't know. All we know is that the
Yeah,
Sentinels and the freelancers fought together. They died together, and now the freelancers are the only ones hated. The Sentinels are, the all saviors. That when the Sentinels were the first ones who really kind of just fell back during that fighting. Um, so it brings about a lot of questions of, well, what exactly caused this to happen, and why are people pursuing this path, like the antagonist, so um but one of the big things I will say this is, when people have been comparing this game to Destiny and Warframe religiously, but mainly Destiny, they're like, it's a Destiny clone, it's a Destiny ripoff. Well, Destiny's a Borderlands ripoff. Destiny is a Warframe ripoff. Destiny is a looter shooter ripoff. Destiny is just another looter shooter in the game. This game, Anthem, is another looter shooter in this game. It's not a big deal. So, one of the big things that really kind of hammers Destiny with this game, the narrative. The narrative and the storytelling is leagues above Bungie and their story. There have been, within the first 2 hours of play, we got more explanation and more storytelling than Destiny's, 3 expansions combined. We felt more attached to our characters. They just weren't bland. Our character has
yeah,
great dialogue. Our character honestly is speaking to what we are thinking to the enemy. So we may have similar thoughts, but he's actually voicing set dialogue to express the thoughts. So I
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, definitely. Anthem completely shows how this kind of trend of all the AAA looter shooters of having like a silent protagonist is weird. Just because Anthem literally is showing that you can easily, not I don't want to say easily because obviously it takes a lot of work, but like you can do it, a looter shooter where the character that the player controls has a personality, engages with the other characters in a meaningful way. Awesome, because the characters we're playing, he's funny. Like like when we're in one of the missions where you're fighting a Dominion soldier, he's like cracking jokes at them, and it
Yeah.
like it helps immerses you. Where in the Division now, granted, Destiny like vanilla Destiny, they did a decent job of having your character kind of have a voice, but then for some reason, all of the Destiny DLCs and stuff, he's just a silent protagonist or her. And then Destiny 2, you're a silent protagonist throughout until the Forsaken DLC. And even then you only say maybe like 6 words or something. So
Yeah.
Anthem's definitely bucking the trend that for some reason that these developers are like looter shooter protagonists need to be silent because you can create a character that the player has made their own, but still have them have that character interact with its world in a meaningful
Yeah.
way.
Then some people would argue, well, it's all about immersion. You can talk to the TV pretty much. I'm like, but developers shouldn't be relying on the player to fill in dialogue, because what happens is you get these really awkward scenes. For example, in the Division 2
Yeah.
private beta, we just rescued this woman's like kid, right? And
Mhm.
it's like the end of the cutscene. Nothing's happening. It's just silent, and your guy's just standing there out of focus. She moves her hand, puts it on her child, then your guy comes in focus, nods, and leaves. Like, there was nothing for him to say. There was nothing for him to indicate a nod, indicating yes
Yeah.
is appropriate. Like, I'm just like, wait, why? Why did I just sit there, look at her in silent? Like, he's not saying anything or doing anything, and she's not saying or doing anything to him. They just looking at each other in silence and doing nothing. Your character's out of focus. She looks at her daughter, puts her hand on her head. Your guy gets in focus, nods, and then leaves. I was like, it was the most awkward scene I've ever actually experienced in a game.
Yeah.
So
And then
I need something. My character needs to kind of be vocal. It's like, look, yes, this is my character. Yes, I get that immersion. He should be driving. That my character should be talking with the people in the world. I shouldn't have to sit here, select the conversation option, and expect it just to, hey, yeah, you select the conversation option and the NPCs react to it. That's not it. I want to hear my character say something. So Anthem is doing a great job because, Nick, you know how I play. I make very stupid jokes to the enemy, and I'm just like, so pretty much when he said, I'll show you agony. Agony is this bullet I'm going to shove up your ass, and I'm just like, that is something along the lines of what I would say. I was like, that
yeah.
works, but not everyone's going to speak that way. But it's one of those things where it felt refreshing. Oh, thank God in this middle of, we've encountered the Dominion for the first time, and our guys like, bring it on, and we're just going, we're just going off on the enemies, and we're winning. So it's really refreshing because it kind of helps immerse you further into the world, especially during a first person like single player like Fort Tarsis area. It does give
Yeah.
you the sense of, oh, that's great. So um I,
Because some of the best parts I've seen has been the conversations you have with all the characters in Fort Tarsis. Like they're funny and like it helps, kind of overall develop the game's universe and lore. And like it's just a a good thing. Like, instead, where the world doesn't feel as empty in terms of the actual other characters. 'Cause,
yeah,
in like Destiny or the Division, you talk to an NPC character and they're just like a vendor or something, or like a person you get missions from. And
yeah,
they might say a couple of words, but then that's just like it. But in Anthem, you actually can develop a relationship with the people who are vendors or
yeah.
give you missions.
For example, I somehow pissed off Matthias because he's kind of the he's the oddball arcanist where he kind of goes out and does stuff hands on. And when I said we need more people like you, because his backstory, if anybody has played the game so far, is he was an orphan. He grew up on the streets, trying fending for himself and getting into fights and everything and robbing people. And when I said we need more people like you, he's like, what? We need more children orphaned and alone and fending for themselves on the streets. He took offense to that, and you could see it on his face. And then when you go out to a mission and come back, he's like, you know what? I apologize. I shouldn't have reacted that way. I understand. I understood what you were saying. So it was a
Hmm.
neat little dynamic where it's like you piss the people off that you're trying to please, and then you come back for another conversation, either they are forgiving you for it, or their whole tone with you changes, and it kind of keeps that BioWare Dragon Age Mass Effect conversation going. And honestly, it is probably some of the best I've seen in a long time. So I really applaud them for doing that. I think they did a really good job with it.
Yeah. So kind of working off of that, let's kind of jump into what I would say. I mean, now both of us, we haven't completed the game yet. This is kind of our impressions of the full game within the first. I mean, how many hours do you think we've gone through so far?
According to my origin, we played about 10 to 12 hours, and we've done
Okay.
like 3 or 4 critical missions.
Yeah, we haven't done that many story missions in all
Yeah,
honesty. So,
yeah.
but well, I would. So with that in mind, the thing that's kind of stood out to me was that cutscene where I'm horrible with names. The old freelancer guy, what's his name?
Yarrow.
Yarrow, yeah.
Just he's
He tells the story.
he's
He
Jiraiya.
tells the story of Fremont. Yeah, right. He tells the story of Fremont and how the Dominion destroyed Fremont, and like that cutscene was just crazy. Like that cutscene won me for them to make like a TV show about Anthem, the Anthem universe, because
Yeah.
it was just crazy. And so that's been kind of a standout moment. What were kind of like your thoughts on that whole cutscene?
That cutscene got to me, like emotionally got to me, because when you're looking at it as a whole, you open it up, right? Like it starts off, with just a regular market, kids playing, having a good time. Sentinels and freelancers are, being nice to each other, waving. They work in coordination with each other. Sentinels really handle the walls, while the freelancers are the ones who take care of the external. So they'll go out and do, the patrols and everything for the Sentinels. So the Sentinels are really kind of like the fort holders, while the freelancers are the ones who will charge straight out of the wall and be like, bring it. Like they'll go balls to the wall. And we see that, they're like, all right, we're going outside the walls. So the Sentinels never went outside the walls. They always were on the turrets, on the walls, defending, while the freelancers were on the front lines, leading the charge of the defense, and they were winning. Um, and it just got to this point where you
The
see
Dominion
you
had too
see
many.
yeah, you see the antagonist, and the Dominions got a lucky strike in to where they penetrated the walls, the fences, and you see the one character, the ward of Yarrow, right? One of his
He's a
disciples, right?
badass.
She was
Fucking badass.
awesome. She was at
Yeah.
was it a she? I think it was a she. Pretty sure it was
Yeah.
just yeah, it was a she.
His
She
name was like
was
Johnny or
so she
something.
was so cool that you know half her armor is gone. All you see is like the exoskeleton of the all you see is the skeleton framework of the javelin she's using, and she grabs a child, and you see her fighting through the town to keep this child safe.
From some weird monster that we
Yeah,
haven't
just
seen
from the
yet.
yeah,
That
just,
was
and it's just running trying to protect this one child from everything, and it's like the Sentinels are already falling back, and it looks like they're about to abandon the city, and you just go in and you're like, oh, this is a secret location, and you realize why the Dominion's attacking,
yeah,
and the
their main
child's
goal.
the child is in there with them, and she is still trying to protect, and the Dominion breaches it and just like kills everybody, and she grabs a child and runs away. Her mission was to survive and to protect that child. She was not going to let the child die. So it became like a very emotional struggle to watch when she's pretty much beaten, and she knows it. She knows she can die right here and now, but she knows that she cannot die because she does not want the child to die.
Yeah.
So she does everything in her power to protect the child, and you just see kind of like this look of the sadness like on everybody's face. So
And then the doctor
yeah,
and the
the
monitor,
the bald headed guy is the doctor. The monitor is the giant
who's
hulking javelin. Who for someone got it has to be a custom javelin. His javelin is
yeah.
so much bigger than any other javelin. It has to be custom.
And he has some weird power. Like I think it kind of works, and it's kind of like the model of the storm one because he has that like purple energy that he like uses. So like I don't know exactly what. I mean,
It could
I'm
be
sure we'll find out more
it could
about
be a
him. But
custom storm. It could be a custom storm javelin to fit his body
yeah,
build.
and that doctor character could have made it for him because like that he's really mysterious because Yaro's like no one ever saw him before the attack or after. So like he was just there for the attack and then has never been seen before or after.
Yeah.
So it's like who is he? And like you pointed out before when we were playing that like when that so they're trying to like control the relic inside of Fremont to control it, but obviously as the game has shown us on countless occasions, harnessing the anthem's creation energy is pretty much futile because it just won't let it's too powerful
Yeah.
because it's creating life and like it sends out that like shockwave and the doctor, the monitor, and everyone else is like suspended, and like you kind of point out, it seems he has like a weird smile on his face, like he was hoping for the thing to react that way. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, obviously it
He has a
explodes,
very
it
it's
destroys
that
it. So
very
it's like, why would
smug
he
look.
want that?
It
Yeah.
it's a very
But
he
like,
the whole time we watched that cutscene, he was always kind of like hands behind his back, walking as if he's above everybody. He has a very smug and arrogant look to him and demeanor to him. And when he's suspended, he had this like grin the whole time. But when he was suspended and the thing went off, he has the biggest smile, teeth showing, as if he's actually enjoying the fact that this is happening. So I'm sitting there like, wait, did he do this on purpose? There was no way, because now the only people we have seen so far from that attack is the monitor. We don't know if the doctor is alive. If the doctor is alive, he very well could have been transformed. He could have been he could be a titan for all we know. We don't know how the Anthem creation works. We don't know how titans are created. Um
mm,
all we know is that the Anthem creation will make a titan. And but I'm trying to figure out exactly, well, did he want this to happen? Did was the monitor aware of this was going to happen? Was it the monitor's idea to let this happen? Why did they kill pretty much their entire force? It's one of those weird things where we still haven't gotten to the heart of the story, because we're still, I think, in the very beginnings of the story. We're not even halfway through. We've had one encounter with the
yeah,
monitor, and his character threat development has been phenomenal. It's very mysterious. You don't know his motives. The only motives you can even think of would be from the trailer, where he's like, if we could control it, I could end all of the chaos and death with, this. And it's like, oh, okay.
yeah.
It's
He's
like, okay.
definitely one of
He's a,
those
he's a
kind of like the
mysterious
Thanos.
antagonist. Definitely a
Yeah,
mysterious antagonist, and I like that, because it's like, well, it's not just a cookie cutter, antagonist. It's like, well,
I'm evil.
there
Yeah,
has it's giving the sense like there's more to him than just controlling stuff and killing stuff. Like, the we'll just call her the CIA operative, is like, no, I won't give this to you. Well, he's like, okay, well, you know what? Everybody has their price, so let's talk money. How much is it going to cost me to, get you to reveal this? Like, the relic's not for sale. Aha! So you do have it. It was so cool that he did that, where he trapped her. We're saying, I'm going to sell. How much will it take for me to buy it from you? And she says, the relic is not for sale. And
yeah.
he was
He's
under the,
definitely
he
an
was under the,
intelligent.
yeah, he was actually playing along with her, saying, when she said, I don't know what you were talking about. So he did the money thing to trap her, and she fell for it without even realizing it. And yep. And then a few seconds later, they find it and kill her, and it's actually really cool. Um,
Yeah. So definitely like I see him as kind of like a Thanos like villain in the sense that he thinks he's the hero. I mean he thinks he's the only one that can make the hard choices to better humanity. So like but obviously he goes about it in very unethical ways that really make his end goal kind of mute because it's like, well, yeah, you say you're gonna save people, but then you murder a bunch of people. So like, how does that work? So I feel
yeah,
like he's gonna be kind of one of those villains.
yep. Um,
So
I'm
so
intrigued to
kind of
see where that's gonna go, though. So
yeah.
we're gonna keep playing today. Definitely, it is one of those games that we need to keep playing. Um, I do want to talk about the the shooting mechanics and kind of the gameplay experiences, like in general. So, first of
Yeah.
all, flight and swimming, everybody's favorite
So
topics, so
swimming,
much better.
they fixed it. I mean, I didn't have a problem with flying in the demos. I can definitely tell it's smoother though in the full game.
Yeah,
It's crazy though how much better the swimming is. Like it's just and the main thing was just when you first dive in the water in the demos, your character gets so disoriented. You couldn't control him at all. It was just so weird. But and we so far the chances we've had with it so far, it's been fine. You dive right in the water and you have immediate control and you can just easily transition to swimming. So I'm
yep,
really glad they fixed that. Now with the demo builds being old, they probably had it fixed for a while. It just wasn't like that in the builds. So
yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of people had, that was a main complaint of people. And it was one of those things where it's like BioWare's like, we have it fixed. We just the builds that we had available for the demos didn't have it fixed. So it was just kind of one of
The
those unfortunate things.
preconceived notion, people were like reviewing the demo as if it was the full game. I was like, no, it's not the demo. It's the demo, guys. It's not the full game. You need to relax and understand that this build, which was publicly stated to be 6 weeks old, so it was back in December, November, pretty much. Early
Hmm.
December, build, right? Which means that build had existed since like November, September with some fixes. So it had thousands, like less than thousands of less bug fixes, optimizations, and all of that. So I find it to be good. Um, I will say that the full release is actually taxing my computer more than the demo. I don't know if that's because they brought in the rest of the items or what, but further optimization is going to take place, so I'm not really worried about that. Um, the shooting, the gun mechanics, the guns feel way better to use in my opinion. Like they feel a lot better to use. Uh,
They feel a
I,
little more like I feel better, yeah, because like the demos, like it was like you almost didn't even need to use your guns, especially with like the storm, because like
mhm.
I feel like I think they did. I feel like I've noticed that they've changed that where the abilities don't charge as fast in the full game, which I like because in the demo, like with the storm, I was able to use my lightning strike like almost like every other second. So like I didn't even have to use my guns really. But like
Yeah,
in the full game, I've been using my guns way more, which I'm glad because it feels it's more a more complex like battle experience being able to kind of use everything as intended.
yeah.
But unfortunately, as we've noticed, one weapon class that we definitely would like to see better would be the scout rifles because right now the semi-auto ones are very like underpowered and not very useful because
There's no
we're
reason to
both
use it. There's no reason to use it
yeah.
because the heavy pistols do more damage to it and feel more reward. Like I'm critting for 4 or 500 with a heavy pistol. I'm critting for the same as a regular assault rifle with a scout rifle, and the scout rifle has 96 damage where the assault rifle has 34. Why am I critting the same? I should be critting up pretty much to where the heavy pistols are. That's what I should be at, but I'm not. And
Like
it's very frustrating because I'm like we wanted to use the Legion of Dawn pre-order,
weapon. Yeah.
that it's weak. The bonuses
Yeah,
are
it's
good,
not
but
that good.
it's a weak gun. It's a legendary gun, but it's weak as hell. It's not there's no reason to use it.
I have a level 4 pistol, heavy pistol, that does actually more damage than the level 18 legendary scout or
Yeah.
marksman rifle that we get from pre-ordering.
Yep. The
And so
pistol
it's
does
just
more.
like, and like, granted, it has a really good perk where like if you empty the mag completely, it recharges your shield. But like, it's so weak that like that's the only thing that actually makes it viable. And even then, it's just like I would rather have a weapon that I don't need to use half a clip just to kill. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it just wasn't like after using it for a couple missions, I
I
went with a
yeah.
burst rifle that's level 13, and I've been doing way better with it. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I feel like those kind of weapons they might need a buff in the future.
Yeah, they simply just are not good. They honest to God just are not good. Not good. Um they need to kind of bring those up to where the heavy pistols are in my opinion. The heavy pistols are phenomenal. They need to bring those up. So, uh, it was a shame because I really wanted to use the scout rifle. I really wanted to, and there was something that I really didn't. I also did not enjoy in demo. The scout rifles were still weak in the demo, and it doesn't make sense when you look at their damage number and you look at the assault rifle damage number. They're hitting about the same. It doesn't make sense. The scout rifle is designed differently. It packs a bigger punch. It should be doing 200 to 300 crits per hit, or it should be doing the same damage as the heavy pistol. At that point, it's now, what do you prefer to use? Do you want to use a pistol or do you want to use a rifle? You're going to get more range out of the rifle, but if you're going to be in close quarters most of the time, the pistol is going to where you be at. But it was definitely a big thing. The design of the weapons, too. The design of the weapons need to vary more. There is not enough variation in the look of the weapons.
Yeah,
the Warden and the Defender look too similar. They sound the same. And it just... I really wish that it had a little bit of a sleeker look for being a burst rifle. The Warden's the burst rifle. So being able to give it a little bit of a sleeker look, more rounded out, or maybe even make it look a little bit more like sniperish, since it is a burst. Just something to kind of differentiate it from the Defender, because right now it looks the same. So it's like, well, what gun are you using? Well, I'm using the Warden. Oh, I thought that was Defender. No, it's the Warden.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like while Anthem has kind of bucked the AAA looter shooter trend of a silent protagonist, it still has fallen into the trend of a lot of the early weapons, like your green and blue weapons. They kind of just throw them into a cookie cutter mold, and that this happens in Division, Borderlands, Destiny. Like, for some reason, until you start getting those really high level weapons and gear, a lot of the stuff is kind of cookie cutter, like looks the same. Now, I don't know why they do that. I guess just development time. It's easier to have the lower, because I guess a reason you could argue is that at those levels you're leveling up so fast that you're getting you might get a new gun one mission, but then get a better gun the very next mission, so you just throw that other weapon away, like either sell it, just or like salvage it. So I guess maybe they're just like, well, the players aren't really going to use these for that long, so like maybe we shouldn't waste too much development time to where the higher level weapons players are going to have in their arsenal for much longer periods. Those can be the more unique stuff. Now, obviously, I don't know if that's the reasoning. I'm not on the development teams. But unfortunately, Anthem, while it bucks other trends that have been negatives for the other games in its genre, it's kind of fallen into the trend of that. So that's unfortunate, but hey, it's just kind of how it is.
And one of the big things, too, is you have the machine pistols weapon class, which are pretty much submachine guns. I would like a submachine gun look. Like, give us like a shoulder, give us a bullpup submachine gun that kind of does help out with, well, this is what's happened, this is what it looks like, or this is it, and okay, well, that's great. I would like to see that happen. To kind of give, well, why is this machine pistol my submachine gun and it holds like 60 rounds? It's like, well, that doesn't make sense. The gun is tiny. So that's just personally what I would like. I would like some more weapon variation design to kind of incentivize some unique looks. Some painting of the guns would be nice, but nothing too extravagant where you can make it like a cloth weapon or anything. No, like, it's metal, it's rugged. You gotta pick from these like set kind of like things to kind of make up some unique design. You could put a vinyl on the weapon, which I think would be really nice. It's something to make the guns kind of like unique, because if it's like a legendary weapon, I don't know if that's something people want. Some customization on the gun looks would be nice. But no, all in all, I think it's so far it's doing a good job. The game is doing what it's supposed to do. There definitely are some quality of life like changes, like and we're going to get into this. The final topic we're going to talk about is the microtransactions.
Yeah, I was about to say
we're going to talk about that in a minute. So one of the quality of life decisions is when you purchase something, I want to know what's in the pack. Give me a list rundown of what the items in there are. Not just, well, this is the armor you're gonna get, or no, it's like, let me see what I'm buying. I want to see what I'm buying first. I don't want to see, I don't want to have to leave there, go to my vault, see how much I actually bought, and then go back. You kind of want to see like exactly how much you bought right there. You haven't experienced that yet, but I did, because I was like, I needed some of the Chimera mats and everything. So definitely needed to kind of come up with that a little bit. So that's just me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and like kind of you said, the cosmetic stores kind of doesn't really have a lot right now, and so it kind of begs the question of like, is that just because it just launched and they're still going to add stuff, or is there really not going to be that extensive of a cosmetic shop? And
It's one
I,
page with
yeah, so
6
like
items in it.
now that the quantity would doesn't really bother me if they go kind of like the route other games have done, kind of like Fortnite, where like they cycle it out every day. So like you have a chance to get new stuff every day. But I don't know if they're going to do that. I think they should, just because you might as well throw all the options at players and let them decide if they want to
Yeah.
buy it or not.
Well, my quantity thing is for like when you're buying the crafting materials, so the alloy and everything. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to go into free play to do this, you go over, you buy it from the crafting tab. The problem
Hmm.
is, it doesn't tell you how much you're buying. It just says Chimera Compound. That's all it does. It doesn't tell you exactly how many you're buying. So when you buy it for 2,000 coin, you have to leave there. I had to leave there, go over to my vault, look at it, be like, okay, oh crap, I didn't realize how much I had before. So now I was like, okay, I have 22. I have 22. All right, go back, buy it, go back. I have 52. Oh, so it's 10 per purchase. Why is that not showing? That is something that needs to show to give the players an idea of like, well, how much am I buying? Because if I'm just buying
Yeah.
one, then that doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't tell you how much you're buying. It just explains what the product is, and I'm like, okay, I want to know how much I'm buying. Just say Chimera Compound X10, and then if you want, you can make different stacks. You can go Chimera Compound X50 for 10,000 coin. I mean, I understand BioWare is developing this to make sure that nothing for like pay to win gets into the game, but it should be noted that you cannot buy crafting materials with money. It has to be done with the in-game currency of coin. You cannot buy them with shards. That is actually really good, because that prevents people from just putting in a credit card and buying shards and buying a crap ton of materials to craft the god weapon roll for the legendary or masterwork weapon. That's a smart move. I love that.
Hmm.
So we to get into the microtransaction aspect of
Yeah,
it.
the elephant in the room for the game
So
since
let
God.
me right now on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up the real quick. Where is it? Anthems, Mass Effect Andromeda. Oh, okay, we'll go Anthem Vanity Store. We'll look at here. All right. I can't look this up. I'll have to zoom this in. All right. There we go. So this is on Valk.com, whatever. Anyways. All right. So just real quick. So as you can see, what you have is the same exact store featured items from the screenshot leak a few weeks ago in January, where it was 2,000 shards for an armor pack, $8 for materials, and then 40,000 coin. So what they did was they told you guys, and everybody should have known this, Pricing was not set. They have no reason to discuss pricing with the public. And instead, they kept the conversation internally. But people were freaking out because they're like, oh, look at how exploitative this is going on for, blah, 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 blah. All right. $8.50. $8.50 for a piece of for an armor pack. That is less than that is the cheapest skin that you could possibly buy right now in any game.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Like it's freaking like I mean there's multiple other games that you can buy skins for like that cost like $20 for just
Yeah.
one skin. So like yeah, that's not bad at all. It's a full armor pack. And
Yep.
like it just goes to show how a leak, like taking a leak as just solid written in stone fact, is not wise, because it's a leak. It wasn't designed to be announced yet, so it's not going to be the final product in most cases.
Yeah.
So like that leaked screenshot, as we've talked about before, like it was probably maybe they just had that for like a internal presentation meeting where they were like discussing the economy of the game. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
and the guy making it was like, oh, I'll just throw $20 in there. Just typed it real quick just for the presentation. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a final thing they decided on, and
Yeah.
obviously it shows because there was nowhere near that price in the full game. Now I've seen
Yeah.
people like be like, oh well, maybe they made it that so that when the game came out they would look like good guys. It's like, no, like what? Like that
No,
doesn't, like that's a lot of effort on their part in case the screenshot got leaked.
of
And
course,
obviously
but I mean that's what people are going to believe because that's what the gaming community has become, and the YouTubers are not helping the cause. The so-called experts who are YouTubers, gaming YouTube channels, think they're the all-knowing gods. No, this is companies have no obligation and no legal obligation to actually tell you MSRP prior to the release of the product. They don't even have to tell you the price of the product. You can go look at the product yourself and find out how much it is. They don't have to tell you. There's no legal obligation or law that says they have to tell you how much they're going to sell something for. It's up to them. And unfortunately, this is what a company's allowed to do. You're allowed to sell a product for $8.50 or $20. If you don't want to, if the customer doesn't want to buy it for $20, then you either adapt your price to lower your price to better fit the customer's desires, reasonable desires, not something that you got to pay $20. No, I want to take this product, I want to sell it to you, package it, make it, sell it to you for $20. If you want to buy it, go ahead. If you don't want to buy it, then tell me why you don't want to buy it. Well, I don't want to buy it because it's $20. Well, why? I don't think it's worth $20. Well, how much would you be willing to pay? Probably around, at the most, I'd probably pay around $10, $15 for it. Okay. So they'll take the feedback and then kind of go back to the drawing board and kind of have more meetings. The screenshot leak was a snapshot in time that, well, this is where we're kind of thinking it, but we're not sure yet. And someone's like, oh, this is horrible. Some white knight within the organization said, hey, I'm going to put this on Reddit and let people go nuts over it. Because that's what it did. It was a video, probably a recap of a presentation. And it was like, you know what? Screenshot, sent it off to Reddit, and he knew the firestorm that it was going to kick. People will say BioWare did that on purpose, or EA did that on purpose to see the reaction. Overblown, unsubstantiated, completely pointless, and quite frankly, anybody who reported on this on the YouTube side and was actually calling them out for being greedy did nothing but make a video for clickbait greedy themselves, because at the end of the day, they need to maximize profits in order to make this game going. The only thing that has me worried right now about this is the fact there's 6 items in the store at any given time. Because it says press and hold escape to open store. You do that, you get the same 6 items. I don't know if this is just because it's at launch, these are the first items that are available to sell, or if there's going to be multiple pages. But only having 6 items to buy is kind of weird to see, because it kind of wonders, well, are they going to be able to sustain their product through microtransactions enough to where the DLCs and that are free? You need multiple products available. You need more than 6 products available at once in a store in order to actually survive. In order to generate money, because right now you're expecting a lot of people to buy these 6 items. You have $3, $3, $4, $8.50. Now, it needs to be noted that the revenue, right? So the very first tier to buy these shards, to buy the shards, is $10. Well, it's $9.99. If you have Origin Premier, you get a 10% discount, which means it's $9 for you. All right. So when you buy the first level, that's 1,050 shards. That's 200 more than the Guardian Armor Pack. What does that mean? Well, if you buy the $10 4 times, you'll be at 800 shards. So every 5th purchase will be earned for free if you're buying armor packs strictly. So you get after every 5, the change that's left over translates into a free, purchase. So you won't need to. It's not the traditional sense buy 4 get the 5th one free. No, it's just, well, your change is there, so it's just going to build up, and you won't have to put in another $10 just to get the item. So
Yeah, it's definitely a like. Now, granted, I mean, they're probably gonna fund most of the post development for a while with all the revenue they've gotten from just selling the game,
yeah,
and you know, from selling the game, because obviously the game's not even technically out unless you're subscribed to playing on PC on EA Origin Premier. A lot of people are going to start playing next week, so that's a ton of revenue. So I feel like the majority of their post development revenue for a while is going to be funded by that.
and we don't know
So
how EA with the Origin Premier. We don't understand how EA split. Either they keep all the subscription fees as operating costs, and that way that the development studios have no operating costs whatsoever in terms of keeping the game up, or
mhm.
if they split the money with the developer. I don't know. I don't know if they do something like that, or if it's just them making sure that their operating costs are actually taken care of with the subscription. Because for all we know, the subscriptions could take care of the operating costs. So there's no profit until until the bills are paid. Once the bills are paid, any money after that is profit. So that's money they keep, and that's money they can invest into either furthermore, along this lines or anything like that. Um, but when one of the things that people have to realize too is you have artists at these studios. These artists make skins. You could have 100 skins submitted by 3 different artists, and maybe 5 will get picked. And there's no guarantee that all 5 come from the same person. So artists, technically, you're buying a piece of work from someone who created this. That's kind of what you're doing. So I find it to be quite enjoyable. I don't mind the store. Like I said, I just want the crafting tab of the store to actually provide a quantity amount when you're buying the materials for crafting.
Yeah, that's definitely, and then they could do that in a simple patch one. Like
Yeah,
I feel like
it's a
they're
simple
going
text.
to. That's the kind of stuff where maybe they just didn't know about, and they'll definitely probably get enough feedback from the community in like the next couple days to be like, oh, okay, yeah, we can add that.
Yeah, and it definitely is one of. I mean, and the new items reset, and from the looks of it, every 14 days, every 2 weeks or so. Like every two business weeks, so every 10 days. I don't know. My problem with that is if you're only going to show 6 items and you're only going to reset these every 2 weeks, uh, it really is kind of hard to justify, selling all the future content for free. Yeah, I just want the store to be expanded. If that's coming, that's coming. That's great. If that's coming once you hit level 30, if more of the store items get unlocked, that's great. If the rest of the store gets unlocked on official release date, that's great. That could be what they're doing.
Hmm.
You next week, the store could be massive. They could have a lot more stuff in the store. So, um, so what are your final thoughts, kind of like about this game so far? We've been playing it for since the earlier at release yesterday. What's your thoughts?
It's been a great time. I've had an awesome, fun time playing it. Like, there's just already been so many awesome moments. Like, one I know when we were playing and like you unleashed your ultimate with the ranger, rained down missiles on a group of Scar enemies, and then flew over. And then when you turned the corner, you just see me throwing my fire, ice, lightning ultimate from my storm onto the group of enemies. It just there's been so many cool just little moments like that that's just made playing to where like I could play this game for 10 hours straight and just it would fly by because I'm just having fun. Like I'm just so immersed into it that a couple hours fly by without me even noticing. Which in a game like this where it's like its strong points are narrative and gameplay in the sense of that is what's going to keep people playing. It's done a great job, in my opinion, of the first kind of 10 hours we've played. And we still have a bunch to still play. So I
Yeah.
definitely think the full game has definitely delivered on what it was hoping. And I think it has potential to kind of take over the looter shooter genre and kind of make its claim to be the top title in it. Now we have the Division 2 coming out in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That's with Destiny 2 kind of on the down low right now. They don't have much going on. So the Division 2, Anthem's going to have a head start on it. It's going to be interesting to see if Anthem that's going to be the true test of how Anthem is going to sustain its player base with post game content that people like and is meaty and engaging when it has a AAA competitor coming out of the wood, coming out ready to challenge it. So
And it's coming out, and they could have done this purposely too. It's coming out in March. The new content, Act One, it's coming out in March, probably around the same time as the Division's coming out. So, for all we know,
exactly.
EA and BioWare are competing against Ubisoft and their studio directly and saying, well, let's split the community. Why don't we just have fun? Because that ultimately is what drives great game development and features and
Yeah,
business practices that are not predatory and
it's
will kind of
competition.
ruin is competition. You need to have competition. If
Ec-
the division is doing this awesome event where they're just like, you can call in just for this event, you can call in like an artillery strike or whatever on this area, and you get to do it once a day. Division might be, well, the Anthem might be like, huh, maybe we could do something kind of similar to that to give people an idea. Like maybe there's an orbital weapon platform, or there's a new javelin that gets deployed only, on special request. You know, it's just something, it's just something to kind of give people that, hey, this is why you should play our game, our looter shooter. This is why you should not play that looter shooter. You should play ours. Ours is the best. So, I like the game.
just to
Everything has been polished. It has been where kind of like it has satisfied my expectations. There has been no downfalls. Bugs are expected. Glitches are expected. I'm not going to cry a river about that.
mm,
But what is happening, I think, is a good thing right now with the Division 2 and Anthem coming out. Is they're showing a complete full game with a deep narrative. And they're kind of, and now what's going to happen is my prediction is that Destiny 3 from Bungie is going to be probably the best Destiny with the most in-depth story, because they're going to have to react and come up to the bar that has been set by these two games that are coming out. That is my prediction for that. So I think Anthem and Division 2 are going to set a new bar to reach with looter shooters, saying you can have a great narrative, you can have a great story, you can have great characters, your character can be fantastic, and you don't have to lessen the amount of content in there. You don't have to just base the game around just grinding for loot. You can have everything from a single player RPG and put it into a cooperative looter shooter and just have it run work it with it and perfectly well. That is something that I love, and that's something that I hope will happen, because the market needs, if we have three competitors in the market, that's great. If we have two, it's not what you would want, because it's either you do military or fantasy. Why don't we be able to do space fantasy with fantasy and military? I mean, competition is good. I want to see it go. I have high hopes for this game. Unbelievable
Yeah.
high hopes.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely has the opportunity to do some cool stuff. So
man. So we're gonna go ahead and get back to playing, so we can kind of get some more information, depth into this, and then we'll kind of get going from there. I guess kind of the best way to explain it.
yep, I can't wait to jump back in. So thanks for everyone who's listened, and we hope that you're having as much fun playing Anthem as we have so far. So stay strong, freelancers.
Yep, stronger together.